So I'm at Jackson State. I'm working at MAC Cosmetics, and a woman, Christina Myers, one day she brought in her book because by the time you finish Juilliard, you've made a portfolio of your work. So she gets to a page and she says, "This was the other intern," and she said, "This is Shoshana." I said, "Okay. Where's the information for this internship? What is this?" I said, "Because they are taking Black people in here. Shoshana's there."
Sometimes, like you said, you counted yourself out before you did it. And it was only because you thought she was Black that you thought there was a possibility for you. So it's so important that representation matters. We have to be able to see ourselves in something to know that it's actually possible.
Totally.
Now, you didn't see, you saw what you thought.
What I thought. It's okay to be laughed at. It's okay to be different. It is okay. All of these things. No one else needs to see your dream or your vision. It doesn't need to make sense to anyone else. In fact, it shouldn't. It's yours, right? So do not lose yourself today, because you may never find yourself again.
Hi, my name is Michael McElroy, and I'm a proud founder of Black Theater United. Welcome to Before the Curtain Rises, the Designers Series. It is important to us as we continue to uplift Black lives through the work that we are really articulating the pipelines that are available in every field in our industry. And this initiative will show you all the opportunities that are available within the design field on Broadway. I am here with the award-winning hair and makeup designer, Neal. Welcome.
Thank you.
You made history, along with Jamaica Wilson, for being the first Black woman to win the Academy Award for hair and makeup for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Yes.
You won an Emmy for Annie Live.
Yes.
Right? And Drama Desk Awards. I mean, you've just been doing all these amazing things. You're from Gary, Indiana. How does a Black woman from Gary, Indiana make it here? How did that happen? Were you always interested?
Listen, that was God, right? Before anything else. But yeah, I feel like I have been so blessed to meet so many people who have helped me along the way and invested in me, gave me opportunities. And I have been completely open to that. And I think that combination of people being willing to help you and you being willing to constantly be a student has granted me so many opportunities and gotten me here.
For you, going from Gary, Indiana, and these incredible Black women who were really examples and role models, how does that then translate into where you are today? What was the pipeline? What was the thing that you went, oh, this is what I want to do?
Right. And I can totally relate to that artist who is second guessing going into this, but that your passion, that your, whether it is, I always say that when it comes to like film, TV, theater, there's a job for every single person in the world. Even the little boy that is like bouncing off the walls could be the best stunt guy that film has ever seen. When you say he can't do nothing, this little boy is just, and it's like, or woman for that matter, right? There's like a job for everybody. And coming up, I didn't know that those jobs existed. And yes, I had wonderful teachers, but they also were very much so leaning towards more pragmatic careers and things that, a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, a teacher, these sort of sure things. When you say I want to be an artist, that sounds like 1 in a million, starving artist. Like we have all of these things in our head around what an artist means. So there's no one that's going to promote that. No one is saying, yes, keep drawing. Yes, I love how you put your little outfit together. You need to go into fashion. No one's really pushing that, especially in the inner city, right? Because there we have this sort of pressure to become successful, to save yourself. Even for myself, when I went to Jackson State, I majored in biology. I was going to be somebody's doctor. nobody wanted me as a doctor. Okay. let me just say that.
You
Exactly.
get to
Because I was taking nothing but theater classes. And they finally pulled me in and said, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're never going to get this biology degree if all you take is theater classes, right? But that was like my yearning. But that my pragmatic self said, go biology, figure it out. I had no idea what they were talking about every time I would take a biology class. I was like, I don't know. Now, y'all gonna put the numbers with the alphabets? What is going on? Who's reading this? You know? Like, so I was like in a panic, but I'd be like, okay, well, this is what I'm gonna do, you know, because we gotta be successful. And so I got a job working at Mac. I was like, I was doing everybody's makeup, right? I was doing people's makeup in the dorm room. I was doing people's weddings on the weekends that from the city. I had a whole following of people who would come to the counter. They knew my schedule, you know? And so I had this whole thing going, and a woman, Christina Myers, who I still thank to this day, started working for Mac also. And she had just finished the Juilliard internship. I'd never heard of it. I've heard of Juilliard, but I didn't know they had a wig and makeup internship or apprenticeship. I didn't know they had any of that. So she starts working at Mac, and she sees something in me and says, Mia, you should really consider this internship. And I'm thinking, well, that is so sweet of you, Christina. But are they taking Black people?
Right.
Are they taking Black people in there? Like, that was my thing. Because I'm coming from super segregated Gary, Indiana. And I have just learned to sort of stay in my place. And I'm happy in my place, right? So when she says Juilliard, to me, it just speaks white institution. And I'm at Jackson State. I'm in HBCU. We have Mississippi State, which has a Confederate flag as there, you know. So I have all of these things in my head that have sort of programmed to be. Like when you're a kid and they say, here's the fireman, here's the police officer, and here's the bear. Who doesn't fit into this category, right? And instead of talking about the similarities that they have and how they're all living things and should exist, have a right to, instead, we focus on their differences. And they subconsciously program us in that moment when we're 5 years old, after row after row after row, to subconsciously separate everything, right? And to keep everything in its place. And I had learned to do that and was very successful at it. So when she said Juilliard, the bear showed up. And I put a big old X through it and said, that's very sweet of you, Christina, but they not taking me, right? And I canceled myself out before I even looked at it, thought about it, anything. But Christina kept pressing. She was not letting it go. She was like, you are so talented. You do not belong here. You need to go to New York and you need to do this internship. And one day she brought in her book, because by the time you finish Juilliard, you've made a portfolio of your work that you've done there. And they take 2 interns a year. And so she came in with this book and she said, I did this, and she's showing me all this, and we did prosthetics, and she's going through this, and I'm like, wow, right? And we made these wigs, and they're strand by strand, and I am blown away. But I'm still thinking, the bear, right? And so she gets to a page, and she says, this was the other intern. And she said, this day we were doing, face paint, we were doing this thing, and so the girl is completely covered in makeup. I cannot see her face. Like as far as the skin tone, I see her face and it's painted as a devil, but she has all this red paint on her face. And she said, this is Shoshana. Now, Shoshana, what's her name? My sister Shoshana? They done let my sister in there? I said, wait a minute. Shoshana? I said, okay. Where's the information for this internship? What is this? I said, because they are taking Black people in here. Shoshana's there, right? Now, cut to maybe almost 2 years later. I have finished the internship. I am doing Julius Caesar on Broadway as the supervisor. And I get a call from the stage door. There's someone here for you at the stage door. And I come down and there's a woman there to drop off her resume. And I said, well, listen, there's only 2 of us working. It's a limited run. So unfortunately, I won't need any swings on this, but I'll take your resume just in case another show after this. And she gave me her resume, and I read it, and I was like, Shoshana? She's like, yeah, Shoshana. And I said, did you do the Juilliard internship? And she said, yes, I did the internship. I said, with Christina Meyer? She said, yeah, Christina was the other intern. And I was like, oh my God. Because Shoshana was white, okay? Shoshana was a full-blown white woman standing in front of me, okay? And I was like, Shoshana? Like, you are the reason I'm here. Like, I thought you were a sister. Yeah. What you doing with that name?
That's an important fact, that sometimes, like you said, you counted yourself out before
Completely.
you did it. And it was only because you thought she was Black that you thought there was a possibility for you. So it's so important that representation matters, because we have to be able to see ourselves
Totally.
in something to know that it's actually possible.
Totally.
Now, you saw what you thought.
What I thought. What I thought right. I saw. Right. Yeah. And it also is a reminder that little voice is a liar. Mm-hmm. Right? That little subconscious voice that has been programmed into us is a liar. Mm-hmm. That you actually don't know who wants you in that room, who needs you in that room, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a combination of low self-esteem. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Of not wanting to be rejected, mm-hmm. right? Of like, it's safer to stay in my space that I know I'm accepted in, that mm-hmm. I can excel in, that people are going to see me in, mm-hmm. than to venture outside of that. And mm-hmm. I think that's a lesson for everybody, mm-hmm. right? That transcends race. Like that goes just across the board is that, and the more uncomfortable probably means something really valuable is waiting on me there, right? And so that was the first lesson to me of like, I got to really ignore that little voice. I actually don't know how this world works. Mm-hmm. I actually don't know what's waiting for me out there, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to block any of my blessings. Right. Like I'm not going. So that was a huge lesson for me because mm-hmm. it was also a scary moment to realize if she didn't have that face paint on, you would have still ignored Christina, mm-hmm. right?
Right.
Like if I would have saw Shoshana as this white woman, that still would have validated what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm. That little voice was telling you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that's why it's so important that pipelines, making sure that there's access.
Totally.
And there are people who look like you.
Absolutely.
And me, who are doing the things so that some young artist who's sitting in their bedroom, scrolling through, social media or whatever, and they see Academy Award winner for hair and makeup design, and they see two Black women. That's important because that's what tells them it's possible.
Totally.
Right? And so for us, the reason that we want to do this is because within our industry, there are not a lot of visual spaces where we are seeing all the work that goes into what creates a show behind the scenes, right?
Absolutely.
And the work that you do and many other designers do, but that we want to make sure that there's diversity there, right? For those young Black folks who are sitting at home who might have a spark of something, but not know that this is possible.
Totally.
So folks can look at you now and see all these amazing successes that you've had. But as we know, it isn't always what people see now. There are challenges or things that come along the way. I call them valleys of preparation. Mm. What were some of the challenges that you had on your journey and how did you face them?
One thing I realized throughout my career, so I could name little challenges here and there, but is that because of my loyalty, and the universe realizes my loyalty, that it has to make me uncomfortable so that I can leave. Because there's always something else waiting for me, but I will miss that because I won't let someone down. I won't quit. I won't leave. I will ride it out. The truth is that I would still be working for MAC Cosmetics right now, right? Because of my loyalty, because how dedicated I gotten into the job, because of my work ethic, because it was like, just continue, work harder, do this. And I'm never looking for the next best thing. I'm looking for how I can be the next best thing for this thing I'm a part of, right? And that will hold you back in some ways, right? And so I think that the reason that these adversities and these situations happened because I needed to get so uncomfortable that I would leave because there was something else waiting for me afterwards, right? And that's the way I look at those challenges. I don't look at it as like shame on you for what you did. I have nothing but gratitude towards the people that gave me an opportunity, and I have gratitude for the moment that opportunity was done. You know, that it was time to move on. There was always something greater waiting. You know, so yes, I had those challenges, I had those things, but I honestly believe that all of those uncomfortable moments happened because it was time to make an exit. And sure enough, there was something else waiting for me that I had to get on the other side.
You had to be prepared for it.
Had to be prepared. And I think that if people look at it like that, even in the moment, you can find some peace in that. Right? And instead of focusing on this bad thing that's happening, it is what is around me that I'm supposed, where am I supposed to be? You know, and if you have that attitude, things move faster. You know, it moves very quickly when you have that attitude, because you're not stuck trying to figure this thing out. You know, and why are you treating me this way? And how come I didn't get that promotion? And how come so and so got this? And I'm not even stuck there. I already know what this means. It's time for me to go. Thank y'all. God bless you. I appreciate everything you've done. Now I'm going out here and see what God has next for me. You
It's
know?
almost like a celebration. It's like, this is happening. This adversity is happening. Oh, I should be celebrating, because that means there's something amazing.
There is something amazing that's about to happen. And that really is the truth. I'm sure you can. Yes.
Oh, definitely.
You know, it's like as soon as I get like, okay, I'm having anxiety about going into this place, I already know.
You talked a little bit before about that little voice in your head that tells you you can't, you shouldn't, you should stay where you are. You know, today, in today's world, it's so big through social media, and we see so much, and there's so much messaging that goes out about who we should or shouldn't be. Especially when it comes to spaces where we don't necessarily see a lot of us. And we're working on that. That's the reason that we're doing what we're doing with the work at Black Theater United. What would you say to some young person, young Black, young person who is sitting and happens to be scrolling, and they come across you, or they have this yearning for something? And what would you tell them to do in terms of pursuing that? What would be your advice?
Well, a couple things. One, what I tell my son every day when he gets out of the car, when I drop him off to school, I say, don't lose yourself today, because you may never find yourself again. Right? We know so many people that have lost themselves, whether it was their own fault or whatever. But once you go in that direction of trying to become what someone else wants you to be someone that you're not, to fit in, to blend, to whatever that thing is, every day when you should be growing towards who you are and nurturing your real self, you're denying that and you're nurturing something else that isn't real. And so you skip all of these steps through childhood, through adolescence, through all of these things. And by the time you become an adult, you don't even know who you are. Right? And no one else does. And good luck backtracking all that time to find yourself, right? So that's why I tell him, it's okay to be laughed at. It's okay to be different. It is okay. All of these things. No one else needs to see your dream or your vision. It doesn't need to make sense to anyone else. In fact, it shouldn't. It's yours, right? So do not lose yourself today, because you may never find yourself again, right? So that's the first thing, and especially for an artist. Your brain doesn't work like everyone else's, right?
Right.
You create new. So what you create doesn't exist, right? It is brand new. That's what artists do. We create new things, right? So no one should know what you're talking about. They shouldn't.
Right.
You made it up, right? You brought that into this world. So it is important to remember that on your journey. That's number one, right? Now you got to find your tribe. You got to find other people that aren't fitting in, that have a vision that isn't quite understood, right? And pursue that. So it's like, it's difficult because things are not lined up for us as artists in that way, right? So it's difficult to say, you know, and then sign up for this school and then go do this. Your path is not, it's not laid out that way. It's not as smooth. It's not, I can't give you a blueprint on how to get to where you're going.
Right.
So that's where instincts and trust and kick in, right? And you have to learn to trust yourself. Right? And you will through the decisions that you make. And that's just a part of that process. But you cannot be lazy in any way, shape, or form. It is real work. It's nonstop work. You know, people could look at where I am today and be like, oh, this is great. The reality is that I started this career with all my friends who I grew up with. I've lost touch with 99% of them. Because my work, you know, I worked nonstop. I missed all the weddings. I missed the baby showers. I missed the funerals. I missed everything, right? And I'm not saying that everyone should sacrifice that, but just know when you see this, that sacrifice went into this, right? So the process is hard, and especially because there is no blueprint. It's not like, okay, go to school, finish this, get this degree, get that doctorate, get this, and then you walk right into, nope, No, this was a day-to-day process. And you also have to remember, this is a freelance career. So I work today, and then tomorrow's a brand new day of school. I'm prepping for a job right now, walking in with people I've never worked with before, right? So every single, as an artist, that's the thing. You're constantly having to start all over again and do it. There's no set thing.
Right.
So, you know, in doing that, you have to constantly evolve. You have to constantly challenge yourself. You cannot become complacent. And the work ethic, like I said, it's got to be on 10.
No, it's great because, you know, there are all these young Black artists or art makers sitting out there who have a dream, right? And they don't know how they're going to get it. But I believe that there are people, no matter where you are, there are angels that are around you through people, maybe a next door neighbor, maybe a teacher, maybe someone. And in articulating that dream, speaking it out, it puts something out into the universe. And I believe that folks will start to come into your life at just the right time, right?
Absolutely.
And I feel that also that's what Black Theater United is trying to do, is to be a part of standing in that gap. You know, this is a different time. There is social media. So go to our website, go to all these different organizations. We're not the only organization doing it. And find out, because the manifestation of your dream could be waiting for you there.
It's true.
Right? But sometimes it's about, you have to believe that it's possible. Even in, you know, despite everything that you see that's telling you the contrary. You have to believe it's possible. Because you know what? There might be a Shoshana in your future.
Listen.
A blessing that you don't even know about.
Listen.
Right?
Absolutely.
That turns out to change everything. So my thing is, I think it's important as a founding member that people see you and see that you are in this wonderful space in your career, but know that there was a journey to get there.
Absolutely.
And also to know that Black Theater United, it wants to be a part of that, wants to be a part of helping to build those pipelines so that young people know that these are the opportunities that exist in our industry.
Right.
And if you have a yearning or an inkling or something that makes your heart beat a little faster when you see that thing, that there is a pipeline for you to pursue it.
Absolutely.
Right? And I am just so grateful that we got to spend this time with you as our very first.
Mutual.
Very first, you know. Thank you.
I'm honored. Thank you.
Thank
you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Black Theater United, creating pipelines for you, the future of our industry.